Hello Dogs fans, welcome to episode 20 of After the Dogs Roar for the season of 2017. Let's have a look at what's coming up on this week's episode. I'm going to start off the show with an overview of our round 12 clash v the Sydney Swans before getting into my round 12 votes for the After the Dogs Roar Best and Fairest award. Then a look at where we stand on the AFL ladder after round 12, followed by an overview of our VFL Round 8 clash v the Essendon Bombers. We're then going to have a look at where we stand on the VFL ladder. I'm then going to look towards our VFL Round 9 clash against the Casey Demons, which is happening this weekend, and also going to be previewing our next AFL clash. It is our Round 13 clash v Melbourne, which is also happening on the weekend. And then the fan favourite segment is back, the 5 fan questions. So let's not waste any time, let's get stuck into the show. So on Thursday night in round 12, we travelled to the Sydney Cricket Ground to take on the Sydney Swans. We came into this game without an interstate win this season. We were coming off the bye. In fact, the week before the bye, we had a very, very good win against St Kilda at Etihad Stadium. Now, it's worth pointing out that I was very, very confident going into this game. I thought with that win against St Kilda, and the way that the Swans have been playing this season, they've been very inconsistent. They've been playing their best footy one week, but then the next week not playing their best. And so I thought going into this match we should have won. And not won comfortably, but just got I guess a good solid win. It was very wet in Sydney on Thursday, which meant there was wet conditions at the ground on Thursday night, and it showed that in the first quarter, because there was only 3 goals kicked in the first quarter, and the Swans had the lead 2-14 to us 1-8. The second quarter, where it really went wrong, I think. We were unable to pick up the ball. We were unable to get some real solid movement. The Swans were putting on pressure. They were getting some inside 50s. They were missing some chances. They had 8 behinds at half time, but they did lead 5-8-38 to us 2-3-15. The third quarter, again, the Swans were pretty dominant. They led pretty convincingly at the 3-quarter time break. The Swans 9-14, 68 to the Dogs 6-3, 39. The fourth quarter, though, was pretty disappointing. We only scored 3 behinds, and in the end, the Swans recorded a pretty comfortable win, and it was a pretty disappointing match from our point of view. The final score being the Swans 12-16. 88 defeated us, the Western Bulldogs 6-6-42. Let's go through the goal kickers. We had no multiple goal kicker in the match, so it was just single goal kickers. McLean, Daniel, Stringer, Dixon, Wood, and also Dalehouse, and the best players were Dalehouse, Daniel, McRae and Wallace. Definitely do agree with that one. Adams sustained a foot injury late in the game, so he will probably be out next round. So yeah, like I said, a pretty disappointing match. This kind of reminded me of that poor game we had before the bye last year against Geelong. It was at Etihad Stadium that day. I think we lost by about 60 points, something like that. It was a disappointing game. And then, of course, we went into the bye and then came out and versed the Swans the next week, although this was kind of a different story. We had, and kind of the reverse of last year, we had a good win against St Kilda. We then had the bye and then lost to the Swans pretty convincingly, which is pretty disappointing considering that I was pretty confident that we're going to go over there and actually play pretty well. We only had 39 inside 50s to 71. That's not good enough, so we didn't even have enough inside 50s. Talk about no inside 50 efficiency from us. We had barely any. 39 is a pretty low score, so we did win the tackles, but other than that, we didn't really win many areas in the game. They had more disposals than us. Their kicking efficiency was pretty better than us. They were winning the contested possessions. They were marking the ball better than us. 106 their marks to us 65. So that's where they kind of won the game in a sense. We weren't able to mark it. I guess that's how short we really are. We don't really have a lot of tall players in our side, to be honest. A lot of the players are quite short, mid-size. And I guess the only real talls that we had, what was the talls? Roberts and so forth. In the side, I guess Roughhead, tall, English as well, but not a lot of others. They probably had a lot more tallness in the game. Franklin was too dominant. Adams he tried his best on him, but it wasn't working. Franklin really did. He kicked 3 in the match, and he was a pretty big winner for them. So, look, a disappointing match, to be honest. You have to really be disappointed. I wouldn't go as far to say that our season is over and we're going to drop down the finals, because we had a poor game last year and still made the finals, and look at where we ended up last year. So, I wouldn't go to say that this is a real kind of danger on our season that we're in strife, because I think we still have the team to go all the way. It's no doubt about that, but we just have to be able to get some free-flowing football going and being able to get some inside 50, and then when we get it inside 50, get some efficiency, and that's not working in our favour at the moment. It is pretty disappointing that we haven't been able to win interstate yet this season. That is pretty disappointing. In fact, I think the only away game we've won this year is Collingwood. That's, I think, the only away game. You can't really count the Etihad games because that's really our home ground. But the only real away from Etihad has been at the MCG against Collingwood this season. So a disappointing loss. It's going to be interesting to see the ins and outs this week. I think there's going to have to be a few changes to the squad. We'll have to wait and see how that pans out this week. So on now to my round 12 votes. Okay, time now for my round 12 votes for the After the Dogs Raw Best and Fairest Award. It's fair to say that the whole team played pretty poorly. It's no doubt about that. But of course, I do have to give votes each and every week to 3 Dogs players. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. So I've given the 1 vote to Luke Dalehouse. I thought he was pretty outstanding in the match. I thought he was quite good. 28 disposals, 16 of them handballs, 12 of them are kicks. 2 marks. He also applied 5 tackles and kicked 1 goal, so he gets 1 vote for me. I've given 2 votes to Jack McRae. He got 32 disposals, which I believe was the most out of any Dogs player on the ground in the match. 23 of them were handballs, 9 were kicks, applied 4 tackles, 105 fantasy points. And then the 3 votes, I've given it to Caleb Daniel. I thought he was pretty good in the match. He got 28 disposals, 20 handballs, 8 kicks. He was everywhere sort of thing, and I thought he played really well. So I've given the 3 votes to Caleb Daniel, the young man with the helmet. Although it is fair to say, like I said before, we are a team, and when the team plays poorly, it means everyone plays poorly. That's my attitude. So a disappointing result, but those 3 players I thought were the best from our side. So let's have a look now at the leaderboard for the After the Dogs Raw Best and Fairest Award. So Marcus Bontempelli still leads the After the Dogs Raw Best and Fairest Award. He leads on 11 votes. He hasn't got a vote for a while though. Luke Dalehouse, Caleb Daniel are joint second with 9 votes. You then have joint 4th Lockie Hunter and also Jack McRae on 6 votes. 6 is Jason Johannesson on 5 votes. By the way, Jason Johannesson didn't have the best of games, and that was due to being tagged throughout the whole game. They really got stuck into him, the Swans players, so he had a pretty poor game. I just thought I'd mention that because I didn't mention it in the overview. Joint 7th, Lin Jong and Jake Stringer with 4 votes each. 9th is Mitch Wallace with 3 votes. Joint 10th is Matthew Suckling, Toby McLean on 2 votes, and then joint 12th on 1 vote each is Tom Liberatore, Liam Pickens, Zane Cordy, Jack Redpath, and also Bailey Dale. So that is the leaderboard for the After the Dogs Raw Best and Fairest Award. Okay, let's have a look now where we stand on the AFL ladder after round 12. we have dropped right down to 8th position. We are on 24 points. In fact, we're on joint points with Port Adelaide, Melbourne and Essendon, who are above us because they have better percentage. And the West Coast and Fremantle are down below the two WA teams. Of course, we have a better percentage than them. We verse Melbourne this upcoming round 13. They're currently on 6th position. They were outside the 8 before round 12, but a win against Collingwood has put them inside the 8 and above us. We'll talk about that game very, very shortly. I guess the positive coming out of round 12, the only positive is that we're still in the 8. We're still in the top 8 on 8th position. So that is a good thing. However, we do need to keep winning games to actually keep ourselves inside the 8. So, yeah, we're currently in 8th position after round 12 on the AFL ladder for 2017. Okay, time now to move on to our Footscray VFL side. They were in action on Friday night at Whitten Oval against Essendon. This was, it was anticipated to be a good game. And, well, we got the head start in the first quarter. We led by 20 points with a score of 5-4-34 to Essendon 2-2-14. We then led at half-time 47-34. Essendon, however, took the game lead at three-quarter time with a score of 8-7-55 to us 7-10-52 with a bit of wasted opportunities there with those 10 behind. So we were down by a few points at three-quarter time. However, to the boys' credit, they were able to get back in front, tussle it out in the fourth quarter and win by 4 points. The final score being Footscray 10-13-73 defeated Essendon 10-9-69. Let's go through the goal kickers. Zane Cordy kicked 2. You would have to think that he will be in consideration to make a return to the senior squad this week to play Melbourne. Webb, Campbell, Redpath, Lapinksi, Greenwood, Hayes, Green and also Williams got on the goal sheet with singles each. And then the best players were Nash, Campbell, Williams, Cordy, Webb and Russell. Is it possible that Campbell comes back in this week? You know, English is going out. You know, could Campbell come in and possibly play forward or maybe even defence? Maybe he is pretty tall, although maybe he can come in and share a ruck role with Roughhead. And is that possible? It's interesting because Boyd is out at the moment. Maybe he's the man to come in. He got the best players there, second best on the field. So you'd have to think he'll be in consideration for a return this week. That's just in my view. So a good win there for our VFL side. Of course, we had a pretty dominant first half, but gave up the lead in the third quarter to trail at three-quarter time. But to our credit, we're able to win. Winning by 4 points. So good stuff from our Footscray VFL side. Let's see how that's affected our position on the VFL ladder after round 8. So our VFL side is in 5th place on 20 points. We are joint with Werribee, who of course have we have a bit of percentage than them, so that's why we are above them. We verse the Casey Demons next round. That game is away from home and they are on 8th place, so could be a tough encounter there at Casey Fields on the weekend. We'll be getting into that game right now. So this Saturday the 17th of June, our Footscray VFL side will be in action again. They will be versing the Casey Demons, which is of course Melbourne's VFL side. This one is away from home. We are travelling to Casey Fields, which I believe is a little bit out of Melbourne, about an hour I think, half an hour maybe. I might be wrong in saying that. Let me know. I don't live in Melbourne, but I am aware that it's a little bit of a distance to travel. Not too much, but a little bit. This game is actually a night game. 7 p.m. it will start. And of course it is 5th v 8th. Of course we are on 5th and the Casey Demons are on 8th. So looking forward to seeing how this game pans out. It is at 7 o'clock p.m. at Casey Fields. We're versing the Casey Demons. And on Sunday, the 8th of June, that's this Sunday, our round 13 AFL clash will be against the Melbourne Demons, who are coming off a 4-point win against Collingwood on Queen's birthday. This one will be at Etihad Stadium. It will start at 3:20 p.m. and you can watch all the action on Fox Footy. Even though Melbourne are coming off a 4-point win, I guess the good thing about this game is that it's back at home at our home deck of Etihad Stadium. Melbourne haven't really got a really good history at Etihad Stadium. They did win there, I think, in round 1, but they still don't have a really good history at Etihad Stadium. So we've got the better of them when it comes to Etihad Stadium, I suppose. And although it's still going to be a tough game, no doubt about that. Melbourne are playing some good footy. They're a better team than they were last year. They're inside the top 8 now, so they're playing to keep that spot. And so it is going to be a tough game. They have some good players. I think Petrarca played really well on Monday, so he will have to be stopped. It could be a possibility that Gawn comes in for Melbourne, so he'll be pretty tough to contain. Although Roughhead's a pretty good ruckman these days. And it's going to be interesting to see what changes we make. It's going to be interesting to see whether Cloak keeps his place. I didn't think he was that good on Thursday. I don't mean to get on the Cloak hate train. I don't hate Cloak at all. I think he's a good player. He's a good asset to our club, but he needs to start showing it, and he didn't quite do that on Thursday night. So whether Redpath comes in, he did kick a goal in the VFL on Thursday night, whether he comes in or Zane Cordy could be in the lineup, or like I said before, Campbell could be in the running as well. And of course, we have to not forget Adams, of course, is out this week with that injury. So could that leave the door open for Collins maybe? He wasn't in the best players there, but that doesn't mean he didn't play well in the VFL on Friday night. So it's going to be interesting to see the ins and outs we make. It's going to be a big game. We have to win this. It's no question about that. We have to be able to beat Melbourne. If we lose this, then we're possibly going to be out of the top 8 come the conclusion of round 13. So big game for us. It's on Sunday, our first Sunday game of the year, I think. Is that correct? I can't think of I think it's our first Sunday game of the year. I don't think we've played on a Sunday this year. Yeah, 3:20 p.m. at Etihad Stadium. Looking forward to it. Okay, time now for the fan favourite segment, which took a week off in last week's episode, but is back for this week, and of course the next upcoming weeks. It's the 5 fan questions. Let's get straight into the questions. I start with Gregory, who asks, with Adams being out with the injury, will Collins come in this week to replace him? I think he is definitely a chance. He's going to definitely be in the talks, in the discussion. There's no question about that. Of course, he's a good young defender, and we need to be playing him some more because he's got some potential. I think also it could be a small possibility that Zane Cordy comes in and maybe plays a defensive and possibly forward role if that works. Although he's probably these days more suited to the forward line, so he might not come in and play defence. He might just play forward and maybe replace someone like English or Cloak. It could also be a possibility, in my opinion, that Campbell will get a bit of a look at as well and possibly come into the side and maybe even play defence. It could even be a fact that Roughhead and Campbell swap over and rotate through the ruck while one goes up in the defence. Could be possibly Roughhead. We know he used to play defence and he was not too bad. So that could be an option. But I think Collins is going to be in discussions, and I think it is a chance that he will come in for this week's game against Melbourne. It's no question about that. Next question is from Ryan. He asks, what does the immediate future look like for Matty Boyd? He's 34 years old. He's getting old. He's getting probably a little bit slower as he ages, of course. Of course, if he plays this Sunday, he'll take over the record for the most games of a rookie drafted player. Look, to be honest, I wasn't really impressed with his game on Thursday night. I know he was coming back from injury, but he was pretty poor, to be honest, up in the defence. Made a few errors, and look, to be honest, I think I wouldn't be surprised if he retires at the end of this year. He's done very, very well to get to 34 and playing, at a very older age. He would have been trying to play for as long as possible until he got that premiership, and now that he's got it, he probably doesn't really need to stick around. That doesn't really sound very good, but I'm not trying to make it sound bad, because I do love Matty Boyd. He's a great player. He's a fantastic player. He is one of the best this club has ever produced, and you know, it's going to be sad to see him go and retire, but I think it's going to be very, very soon. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if it's at the end of this year. I can't see him going on any further than this year. You know, he hasn't played the best footy this season, in my opinion. He is skinning injuries, and so you know, I wouldn't be surprised if he retires at the end of the year. I hope he doesn't, because I do like him at the club, and I do think he probably has a little bit more to offer, but I wouldn't be surprised, like I said, if we see him at the, you know, retire at the end of this year. Red WB asks a very interesting question. With regular defenders, would fans most like to see spending the more time as a forward? Big, Suckling, Wood, Roberts, Morris, or Matty Boyd, some of the examples that Red WB has included. Well, I wouldn't like to see Boyd or Morris. It'd be highly unlikely that we see Matthew Boyd and Morris go up in the forward line, or it could be a possibility, but you know, they're probably too old to be learning a new position, but you never know, it could happen. Roberts, I think, has been tried at the in the forward line before, so he could maybe be tested there again. He is pretty tall. He might be able to you know, produce some good contested and uncontested marks when he goes up there. I think Wood would be pretty good up in the forward line, so maybe him. I don't reckon Biggs would. I probably wouldn't like to see Biggs up in the forward line. Suckling's got a good kick, and I think he has gone up forward at times as well. So it's probably out of Wood, Suckling, and maybe Roberts. Maybe Wood. You know, we know he's a high flyer. If he takes a few high flyers up in the forward 50 and kicks a few goals, then he would be great. So I think I might go Easton Wood, but it is a toss up between Easton Wood, Matthew Suckling, and Fletcher Roberts. I think those three could play very good roles up in the forward line. Tracy asks a very interesting question. When do you see Libba returning to the AFL? Well, I'm not really sure, to be honest. I'm not confident that he'll return this week. In fact, I'm a bit of a 50-50 sort of area in whether I think Libba will come back or not. I think Beveridge wants to see something particular from him in the VFL before he returns him to the side. We're not 100% sure what it is. We know that he hasn't probably been playing his best footy since he got dropped, and then you know, before he got dropped, I should say, and then in the VFL he probably hasn't played his best football. So I think Beveridge is just waiting to see something particular, and as soon as he does, I think Libba will come in. And I guess it's just a waiting game for Beveridge at the moment. But look, I'm not sure. I'd love to see him back in this week. In fact, I heard Matthew Lloyd, I think was one of the media personalities and experts, saying that you know, Beveridge should bring him in this week and just keep the side unchanged, which is an option. It's not a bad one. It's not a perfect one either, but it's not a bad one. So, look, I kind of do hope he returns this week, because I think as soon as we put him back into the senior side, he might start playing really, really well. He wants to get back into the senior side. We know that he's frustrated. We know that he's not happy down in the seconds. So I do hope he comes back this week, but I'm not too sure on when he'll come back. Hopefully it's soon, because we do miss Libba at senior level. He is a good asset to the club. It's no question about that. Final question from Jen asks, do you think Honeychurch will get the call up this week? Well, it's interesting discussing Libba just then, but I've always said the last couple of weeks, I've been saying the last couple of weeks that Honeychurch is probably a little bit above Libba right now, and is probably higher above the selection than Libba is at the moment. So, look, I think it's a chance he'll be considered. I don't think he had the best game in the VFL on Friday night, though, so he might not get a call up this week. But yeah, I think he'll be in discussions, and yeah, I'm not sure whether he'll come in this week. It could be a possibility. And that is it for episode 20 of After the Dogs Roar. Thank you very much for watching. Of course, I'll be back with another episode of this show next week, where I'll be reviewing our Round 13 clash against Melbourne. Of course, my votes, the ladders, of course, the VFL reviews and overviews, and of course an overview to our next game is all coming up next week. So do stay tuned, subscribe. Of course, don't forget to like, comment and share this video. So once again, thank you very much for watching. I'm Jacob. Let's hope the Dogs bounce back this week. It's been it was a poor game against the Swans, but I'm confident we can bounce back and play the footy that we want to. Of course, like I said, we still have the side to go all the way. I do believe that, and you know, until we start losing and not make the finals, then I will keep believing that. So thank you very much for watching once again. Bye for now. Go Dogs.